Hi, thanks for joining today's webinar, Travel Marketing Keys to Success, Trends and Opportunities You Need to Know. During this webinar, we'll be discussing best practices and tips for travel marketers to drive success in their cross-channel marketing programs. But before we dive in, we have a few housekeeping items. To enable audio, you can listen via your computer speakers. If you're having issues hearing, feel free to let us know in the chat box on the left-hand side of your screen, and we'll help you troubleshoot. In addition, if you have any questions for the speakers, type those in the chat box and we'll address them in a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Lastly, we'll be sharing a recording of the webinar with all registrants after the webinar, so keep an eye out for an email from us soon. And with that, I'll let our speakers introduce themselves and dive into the content for today's webinar.
Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Jones. I'm the Product Marketing Manager on the search side here at Kenshoo. I've got experience in the marketing side as well as client services and technical ops. I've had stops at agencies as well as engines, and I've been at Kenshoo here for about 3 years.
Hi everyone, this is Kristen Luciano. I am the Product Marketing Manager for Social. I am responsible for communicating all the cool stuff that's happening at Kenshoo and the industry to help partners and clients drive growth. Prior to joining Kenshoo, I worked client-side in an online travel agency focusing on user acquisition for strategies across search and social. So with that, let's get started. So I wanted to start off by telling you a little story. Before we get started, I wanted to talk about this past weekend. I flew from San Francisco to Boston, and I was sitting on the plane thinking to myself, how did I get here? Literally, how did I get on this particular flight? So I was thinking about the purchase path that I took. And I remember I was sitting on my couch a couple of months ago watching a commercial, and this airline that I can't remember was talking about taking advantage of the weekend. So naturally, I go on my phone, I open the Kayak app and start searching for flights to Boston. I figured I'll take advantage of this upcoming weekend and see my family. I decide I'm not going to purchase yet, but there's some good deals on United. So a couple weeks later, I'm sitting in the office and I'm like, oh, you know, I should probably start Google searching flights. So I start looking for flights again, and again, I see a couple of good deals on United, but I think to myself, I'll wait. Later on that night, I'm on Facebook on my phone, as I usually am, and I see an ad for a United flight, and I think to myself, oh, I should probably do this now. So I finally go through, and I go on the website, and I finally complete my purchase. So thinking about it, I mean, I'm a frequent traveler, and this compared to the average traveler is a walk in the park. But even so, I was still on Google, I was on Facebook, my phone, my computer, an app. I mean, it's a complicated process. And to think, according to a recent study, the average traveler visits 38 sites within 48 days of booking a vacation. That's ridiculous. So travel marketers clearly have their work cut out for them. But fear not, we're here to help you today. So today, we are going to talk about some insights and trends in travel. We're going to talk about some industry challenges, and then go into best practices across search and social and cross-channel programs. And then finally, we'll talk about what we think is next in the travel industry. So with that, I'm going to let Kevin kick it off with insights and trends.
All right, thank you, Kristen. So first, we're going to just take a look at some of the insights and trends of the travel industry, particularly with some focus on the digital space. So as you can see, travel sales on the digital side are steadily growing. In 2016, worldwide travel sales are estimated to reach nearly $600 billion, and you can see they're steadily projected to grow over the next few years to top $700 billion by 2018. And what we've seen is that the travel vertical is actually still one of the fastest growing verticals in the digital marketplace, alongside the automotive and the retail verticals, which are sort of the kingpins within the digital advertising space. And obviously, you can't really talk about digital today without mentioning mobile growth. So as consumers continue to live in a mobile-first world, the travel industry has started to adapt. As a lot of you know, almost half of all digital clicks today are coming from mobile devices, though mobile sales for travel are actually only about a third of the total there. So what we're seeing is that while you guys are using your phone to check flight times, use your boarding passes to check in, the process of booking is still primarily on desktops and tablets. But if you take a look at sales trends, the market is starting to adapt and understand that that's where consumers are growing. So we're expecting the market to continue to shift towards the mobile device and see travel retailers and travel sites adapt and continue to make more user-friendly sites and overall make the booking experience for consumers a lot easier to do through a mobile phone. And just looking at some booking behavior, almost 50% of all travelers actually use a search engine to begin booking a trip. Property websites, those account for whether it's a direct airline website, a hotel group like Hilton, Starwood, some of those account for about 20%, and then online travel agencies, OTAs, account for about 14%. So those are your Expedias, your Travelocities, and this really gives some insight into what consumers are doing when they directly start to book through an online source. What this shows is it's a great opportunity for online advertisers to continue to invest in search and digital advertising because people are still going into things without any sort of preference or bias. They're really going into things just looking for a good deal, not necessarily going directly to a specific site. So looking at some data that Kenshoo has seen with our travel clients over the last few years, we're seeing a lot of really strong performance metrics for both search and social. As people continue to become their own travel agent, the search and social spaces are continuing to grow together. Search CTR year over year has increased 21%, and spend's increased about 9 or 10%. On the social side, clicks has increased 92% year over year, and social spend has increased 82% year over year. So like I mentioned, we're still seeing a lot of strong growth, and the travel industry is still continuing to grow at a pretty rapid pace in terms of their online advertising presence. And more specifically, how clients are engaging or customers are engaging, looking at the search market, we have a great example here that shows the click-through rate for the travel vertical versus the entire online market. Consistently, the click-through rates are higher for travel industry as a whole versus the market. So what we're seeing is that advertisers, or travel advertisers, are seeing a really high engagement and opportunity where the people that they're trying to reach are really responding well to online ads. So, with that, let's look at some of the industry challenges that you advertisers, in the travel space are facing. The first being that we're going to talk about is seasonality and promotions. When are your travelers booking the most and why? What are those seasons that you're really needing to tailor your programs to? The next is profitable growth. So how do you, continue to grow your marketing program without incurring, excessive overhead? So as the industry is continuing to grow and then things are getting more, granular, how can you continue to add more properties, geo-targets, locations, etc., but without having to add a lot of extra man-hours into managing those? The next challenge would be measurement and attribution. What does your customer journey, look like? What is the consumer doing between the time they search and click to the time they actually book a trip? As Kristen mentioned in her little journey to Boston, that there's a lot of touch points in there that a consumer is experiencing along the way. And finally, inventory management. Overall, how can advertisers automate more of their ad placements? How can they manage things in a way that they don't have to do as much manual work as they have in the past? What can they do on a daily basis that really just streamline their processes? So what we're going to do next is go into some best practices for search and social and how you can address some of these industry challenges. And Kristen's going to kick things off and show you some of the social best practices that we have.
Thanks, Kevin. So social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram are becoming increasingly influential in inspiring today's traveler. As you saw in these stats, we're seeing significant growth in clicks and in spend in the social side. In fact, a recent study showed that 75% of people in the study found travel inspiration content on Facebook and 72% from Instagram. So with that, my first tip to you is to customize the experience. Until recently, travel marketers have found it difficult to show results in social advertising. The travel sector consists of way too many different subverticals like meta search engines, online travel agencies, airlines, hotels, you name it. Each of these with different user funnels and business goals. This, coupled with increasing competition, makes a customized experience for each target audience even more important. So here are some key points to consider when doing so. You need to accurately represent your ads with the most updated price and availability. If a user clicks on a hotel ad with an offer for $150 a night but lands on a page where the actual price is $250, the user is going to be deterred from booking with you and is going to look for the original deal somewhere else. Fortunately, with the introduction of Facebook dynamic ads for travel, marketers can now dynamically feed their entire inventory catalog to automatically create and refresh ads for a more accurate representation at all times. With that, we also recommend that you have a customized landing page as well. So you can also dynamically change the creative and the redirect link and then pre-populate fields on the landing page to show, for example, the user's check-in and check-out date already. A good example of a beta client of ours that started using dynamic ads for travel is Hotel Urbano. They started seeing great initial results when testing this, and the point of this was to effectively deliver their entire hotel inventory. With dynamic ads for travel opening up, we're starting to see more in a couple of weeks and hope to see even more in the future. Another thing that I want to consider is tailoring your ads based on signals from the user's intent to purchase. So option one for doing this is using a pixel on your website to track the user engagement. You can use this information to then create custom audiences on Facebook based on when the user wants to book a hotel or when they want to fly or where they want to fly to, and then create ads tailored to those details. Option two is to use your CRM data for of past users who have made a booking and use Facebook lookalike audiences to find new customers similar to those past bookers. Facebook uses a number of variables to determine the similarity of a user, and then you have the option to adjust those levels of similarity to determine your size of reach. Another tip we have is to exclude past itineraries. If you know a person has already completed a booking or their check-in and check-out date is passed, for example, you want to include that or exclude them from your targeting. Otherwise you're just wasting money. And finally, you always want to align your messaging. If you're targeting a user on search with an ad that is including a specific promotion or price and then retargeting on social with a different promotion or price, that user is less likely to engage and convert. So always make sure you're working together with your two teams. So the next thing that we see a lot of travel clients doing is testing ad sequencing. Travel requires research, and therefore potential travelers require multiple interactions with the brand or product in order to influence a booking. Fortunately, with all the ad formats now available across all of these publishers like Facebook and Instagram, it's really easy for marketers to test which ad sequence works best for their goals. In a recent Facebook IQ study, results proved, for example, that showing a video ad followed by a static image and increased conversions by an average of 1.3 times. So there's a few ways that travel marketers may test ad sequencing. For one, they may want to consider showing a video to introduce the brand, destination, new hotel property, new flight route, whatever it might be, then create a custom audience based on the engagement with that video. So maybe anyone who has watched over 95% or at least 30 seconds of the video. And then create a retargeting campaign that may involve a link post, for example, offering a discount to then purchase to that specific destination, hotel, airline, etc. Another example of ad sequencing to test is for upsell. An online travel agency, for example, might show a promotion for a particular flight, and then after the customer completes the booking, they may consider a retargeted ad to that same customer with a promotion for a hotel in the destination they booked the flight to. So there's a number of different possibilities. The key is to define your goal, choose your audience, select your ad format, and test personalized messaging in different sequences until you reach that first goal. Okay, now I want to talk about the importance of automation for your optimization efforts. Influencing travelers on social at the right time is tedious, it's time-consuming, it's expensive, especially without the right resources. So to ensure you're always in the right place at the right time, it's important to set automated actions based on performance and timing. For example, if you know there's a certain time of day or days of the week specific campaigns perform better, you may have hundreds of ads to monitor at all times. You might consider scheduling your ads to pause and reactivate around those times instead. So basically set it and forget it. This is going to save you hundreds of hours and otherwise wasted dollars. Another consideration is changing your offers based on performance. So say you have one ad promoting 25% off and another ad promoting $25 off. After 10 days, the 25% off offer is performing better, so you want to pause the other offer and shift budgets into the better performing ad. Now you want to do this for every destination you offer across all of your ads. So that's a lot of work. Automating this type of A/B testing to make these changes for you will save you so much time and improve your spend efficiencies. You might also consider adjusting bids based on intent signals as another best practice. So say you're running a retargeting campaign to show a hotel in Cancun to those who searched on Google or Bing for hotels in Cancun. Your goal is 3% click-through rate, but your actual click-through rate is way higher. It's 4.6%. So you want to increase your bids for these ads as long as you're over that goal. But you might not always be over your goal. So constantly monitoring for these changes is really difficult. But if you set a rule to make these bid adjustments for you, this will alleviate that challenge. Similarly, if you want to automate budget changes in the same way, say your conversion rate for a particular ad set is 2.5 times your goal, you want to scale this performance, right? So as long as you're getting those bookings, you want to keep adding more budget. Alaska Airlines is a great example. They started automating their daily ad activity and saved over 100 hours in manual optimizations while they were seeing a 30% increase in ROI. Okay, let's talk about search best practices. Kevin?
All right. So the first best practice and kind of tip that I want to talk about is just strategizing, according to peak seasons. So, the first thing, it might seem like a no-brainer, but just make sure you're using your own historical data. So look over the last couple of years, which locations were performing the best, what ad types were performing the best, what type of copy got the best response. Really take time and dig into, what's worked for your program in the past and how you can build on that. Second is targeting accordingly. So, if you're, looking for locations in the south or even a vacation for Mexico, you might want to target more specifically towards colder weather states like Chicago or Boston, and because they might have a lot higher engagement than someone that's actually already in a warmer climate, and vice versa too. Just look at where people are actually interested in going and target accordingly. Diversify your creative. So with travel programs have a pretty large volume of ad types and keywords, but that shouldn't be an excuse not to really evaluate and make sure that your creative is up to date and always getting kind of a refreshed look. There have been studies that show that there can be such thing as a plateau or lack of engagement if consumers continue to see the same ad types. So just make sure you're mixing things up and trying things out. And then strategically bid. So if you look on the left here, this is a search I did through Google's search volume tool. And what I did was I looked for 3 different search terms Mexico vacation, European vacation, and New York vacation. All of these are relatively unrelated, but the main theme is that these are pretty significant and common trips that people make. And what the tool shows is the search volume for these different terms over the course of the year. And what you can see is while there are some outliers, for the most part they follow the same trend line of when people tend to book or query for trips more often. So obviously July is a peak season, and in fact July is actually the busiest travel season of the year. But you can also see in January there's a high volume of searches across the board for people looking for these destination terms. So take into account the seasonality of your bidding. So make sure that your ads are going to be relevant at the peak times every year. The next tip that we'd like to share is leveraging automated tools. Much like a pilot really doesn't need to fly dead stick in the air without technology, you really don't need to do as much manual work as maybe you had to do a year or even 5 years ago. Automated tools are here to make your life easier. Tools like Kenshoo have a pretty wide offering of things like automated bidding. The travel space probably has the highest volume, or one of the highest volumes of keywords in all the search industry. So using an automated tool to help do the heavy lifting for your bidding is a huge help to your program, and it's going to help save a lot of manual work. The next would be scheduling creative. So as I just mentioned, there's a lot of seasonality involved with the travel industry. So using tools that can help schedule things ahead of time is going to be a big help to your team. Making sure that they switch on and off at specific times, running specific ads for promotions, whether it's a flight deal or a hotel deal, scheduling things ahead of time, and then making sure your creative is turned off and on for specific periods is going to be a huge help. Labeling and categorizing. Labeling your assets is a really easy way to help optimize your account. You can keep track of brand terms, location or region, anything like that. You can label keywords, campaigns, ad groups, ad sets, etc., and really just kind of keep track of what performances are really helping drive your program. And then sort of similar to what Kristen mentioned in the social piece, test. With the wide variety of ad types that are coming out these days, there's always going to be something new that you can maybe try to expand your program into. So if it works, that's great. If not, that's fine. You don't have to do it. But you should definitely at least test the waters and see if it's an opportunity that can help grow your program. And finally, expanding your boundaries. First, you can leverage CRM data now more than you ever have been able to. Google's Customer Match is a pretty significant advancement where travel advertisers can take existing customer lists and emails and upload them into campaigns and have them retargeted on different properties like email, YouTube, other just search sites as well. So there's a lot of your data that you maybe never were able to use before that you can use now. Segment by device. As I mentioned earlier in the trends, the search travel industry is still lagging behind a little bit in catching up to the mobile adaptation. So what this means is that you actually still need to really consider desktop and mobile devices. So with Google's recent announcements of expanding the bid adjustment capabilities, this is actually a really big opportunity for travel advertisers that are really still needing to spread things across the different devices. Utilize retargeting. Similar to what I mentioned in the CRM data, retargeting your ads and your customers is a huge opportunity to keep them engaged. As Kristen mentioned in her trip, I'm sure she searched and then saw a bunch of retargeting ads, whether on Facebook or other search sites through the search properties. So retargeting is a great way to keep your customers engaged and maybe remind them that they do want to take that trip with your site, airline, hotel group, whatever it may be. There's a lot of opportunity there. And then finally, reach across engines. So Google, as everyone knows, has about 2/3 of the search industry traffic, which is great. But also we need to remember that Bing and Yahoo account for that other third of the search market. So you should really make sure you're expanding your boundaries and taking full advantage of their market share as well. The way I always like to position it is, if would you ever really ignore a third of the customers that came into your business or onto your site? No. So make sure that you're really expanding your boundaries and reaching everyone that might be interested in taking a trip. And now to talk about search and social best practices, we'll pass it back to Kristen.
Thanks, Kevin. So we've talked about solutions and best practices for search and for social, but the reality is your best performance will come from using the two together. So as we talked about previously, the customer path to conversion is complex across various channels and devices. Therefore, it's important to have a cross-channel strategy. This also helps with attribution and measurement when leveraging insights to optimize performance throughout the customer journey. So first I want to talk about some insights. If that's not enough, in a recent study, Kenshoo reviewed the impact of search-only clients expanding into social. The findings demonstrated that by having a cross-channel program, the average search CPC is 16% lower and the average search ROI is 12% higher than having just a standalone search program. Now the reason being, social has a direct impact on brand lift, and therefore it reduces quality score, so that influences CPC. At the same time, engagement on social has a direct impact on organic search, and this influences overall return on ad spend. So people talk on Facebook, people who are talking on Facebook will encourage searches on Google, giving more free traffic to the original ad. Given these proof points, it's even more important to have a search and social program that work together. So timing ads to show in real time at key points in the customer path to conversion and retargeting with aligned messaging from search to social is necessary in order to run the most effective campaigns. As you can see here, in a recent study, Facebook ads through Facebook IQ, Facebook ads resulted in a 6.3% average lift in mobile search engine traffic. So again, a proof point to that ability of having social have a direct impact on your search program when used together. So how can we do this? For one, there's a best practice we started to talk about in social is leveraging the intent signals from your search campaigns to create custom audiences on Facebook. This is going to allow you to show ads to consumers that have searched for specific keywords and also use Facebook's targeting capabilities to find more customers like them. This is also going to help drive a higher return on investment for Facebook ads while at the same time improving your search engine marketing campaigns. Just as important as leveraging search data on social is leveraging social data on search and in other aspects of your marketing. So let me explain. With mobile being an ever-growing medium for travelers and privacy of personal information becoming even increasingly secure, it's important and challenging for marketers to collect customer information. So with Facebook lead ads, travel marketers can now overcome that challenge by targeting customers on Facebook based on intent and interest with a mobile-friendly autofill form that keeps the prospect in the same screen. This form helps marketers collect information like email address and interested destination to then use in relevant and timely retargeting campaigns on search or in other channels. So looking at our most recent quarterly trends report, lead ads also have the highest engagement rate with a click-through rate 4 times higher than any other social ad format. So it's a worthwhile investment. Okay, so with that, let's talk about what's next for travelers.
All right, thanks, Kristen. So as we kind of wrap things up here, we wanted to talk about, what do travel advertisers face in the future? What do you guys, need to be aware of and be thinking about as you're shaping your programs and even your user experiences for your sites? First of all, there's the need for more personalization. As people's online presences continue to grow and just get more intertwined with each other, we need to create a more personal experience for each traveler to keep them engaged as they move across the web. The next is the customer experience. So as we mentioned earlier, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing at this point, mobile is where things are going. That's where half of searches and clicks are coming from. So it's really important to adapt to the customer experience and make sure that our sites and our ads and everything are relevant to people and where they're at and how they want to get information, book trips, etc. And finally, increased competition. It seems like there's more and more travel sites coming out, more OTAs, more hotel groups, more boutique hotels, and more sharing experiences like Airbnb, HomeAway, etc. So just be aware of the competition out there and understand how you can position yourself against them and compete, and make sure your brand is relevant and you're getting the bookings that you're wanting. And finally, we wanted to share a few success stories of some Kenshoo clients that operate in the travel space and have really excelled in the last year or so. We recently published a case study with Hilton Hotels Worldwide and their partner agency iProspect. So, I'm sure everyone's aware of Hilton. They're one of the biggest hotel groups in the world. They have over 5,000 locations. And the challenge that they saw that they wanted to address was how can they improve ROI without increasing budget, and also how can they maintain their revenue figures while often reducing spend actually. And they came to Kenshoo, and the recommendations we had and solutions that we helped develop with them were using Kenshoo's Portfolio Optimizer, which is our patented bid policy that allows grouping of keywords in a portfolio manner, and also cross-profile halogen forecasting. So this is a way of forecasting budgets while grouping campaigns together and looking at where their performance is going if you want to add specific amounts of budget and where that's going to trend over time. And within just a month or two of implementing these tools and these changes, they had some pretty significant gains. They saw almost a 10% increase in ROI, a 5% increase in revenue, and actually a 4% decrease in cost. So it's pretty incredible what some of these tools can do to really help drive your program forward and get more traffic. And finally, just to call out some of our other valued clients like Accor, HomeAway, Skyscanner, and Alaska Airlines. Across these clients and many of our others, we've seen over 100% increase in bookings, 30% increase in ROI, up to an 82% increase in revenue, and sometimes over 100% increase in conversions. So, Kenshoo as a tool can really help travel advertisers take their programs to the next level. For any more information, or if you want to see some of these case studies, definitely visit the website, and you can download any of them on there and take a look and see if that might be something that can help you in the future. With that being said, right now we'd like to open it up for any questions that you guys might have that Christian and I can address. It looks like we have one here that Kristen, you might address. What is Kenshoo's position on the new Facebook travel ads?
So dynamic ads for travel, they just launched a couple of weeks ago in beta, and we're still seeing some initial results, but they've been pretty significant so far. This is the first native solution for travel marketers on social. So it's definitely exciting in the travel space to have something that's specific for travel marketers. At this time, it's only for hotels, although it will probably be opening up to more verticals after that. So you'll see, or sub-verticals, so you'll see something for flights, I'm assuming, in the future. So for now, what we think is great is the ability to, like I said, dynamically pull in your inventory of hotel properties so you can accurately represent with your creative. And then what's cool is on top of that, Kenshoo has another solution where you can manipulate the prices on the creative itself. So it makes it even more effective. Like I said, Hotel Urbano is doing this at the moment. They're testing and showing hotel properties where that price and logo show up on the creative as well. And then you can dynamically change the copy through the feed. So it's a really interesting effort, and I can see it expanding into the future as well.
Cool. Thanks, Kristen. We do have another question about Kenshoo's capabilities for currencies. So Kenshoo does support all currencies around the world. So if you're running a campaign, whether it's in the U.S., Mexico, the Euro in Europe, South America, Australia, APAC, we do support all the different currencies within the Kenshoo UI. Another question that just came through about Google's recent changes with text ads and bid modifiers. So Kenshoo is working on supporting both of those new features, and our stance is that we think that they're great, particularly the bid modifiers update. As I mentioned earlier, and have referenced a couple times, that only about a third of travel sales are coming through mobile devices. So the travel industry, possibly more than anyone, is still seeing a really actual need to be across all devices. So the new Google changes that are giving advertisers more control, I think is a great thing, and will be a really nice opportunity for everyone in the future. Okay, well, looks like that's it for questions. We wanted to thank you guys for joining today. If you have any more questions or for more information about Kenshoo, please email us at contact@kenshoo.com, and we'll be glad to get back to you. And we also want to remind you, we will be publishing a white paper about the travel industry that's going to go over most of the key points here in the presentation, as well as expanding into a lot more in-depth data, insights and recommendations as well. And we should be publishing that here within the next week or so, which will really nicely complement the webinar here today, which we can gladly record and share, if needed. But we just wanted to thank everyone again, and have a great weekend.